All right, cool beans. We're live. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so this is kind of a surprise show, but man, it's all good. I'm glad we got Kaitlin on, man. The last time we were on, well, 2 nights ago, all the power went off and we had crazy storms here. So I apologize for that. Mother Nature's fault, I guess. But yeah, man, thanks a lot for doing the show. I appreciate it, and uh, yeah, we still got a lot to talk about. I had a lot of stuff I wanted to ask you and questions and. Um, But we ended off, actually, you were telling me your story about your encounter, and if you don't mind, well, tell everyone a little bit about yourself first, and just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, and then go
Yeah,
into your guys' encounter.
yeah. So my name's Caitlin, and I live here in Idaho. I've been researching Sasquatch for almost 6 years now. I've always been interested in the paranormal, and when I had my Sasquatch encounter, it lit a fire under me to, I don't know, push me harder than I've ever pushed in my life to find answers about something. So it it's really changed my life, and I'm just looking for answers like everybody else, I guess.
Yeah, what do you think it was that actually pushed you to, that created this drive? What do you think it was?
Well, I like I said, I've always been interested, so it's been in the back of my mind. Um, I did have other encounters, not with Sasquatch, but orbs and UFOs, and for some reason those I was very interested in, but it never gave me a certain drive. The drive I'm talking about is like a drive that overtakes your life. It overtakes every aspect of your life, and it literally pushes you every single day to, I don't know, pursue something you love. So it really happened when I had my encounter with Bigfoot, and that was so profound and crazy and off the wall, and I knew people would have a hard time understanding. So it it really pushed me to find answers. You know, my husband laughed at me, my family laughed at me, and that was really horrible for me.
Right,
And I've never had somebody look at me and laugh, like, I don't know how to explain it, like I was lying or making up a story.
right, yeah.
So I from that point on, I was like, "Okay, I am going to find these answers,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna prove you wrong because
Right,
I know that it's real."
right, yeah, yeah. Um, Where are they at now? Are they? I mean,
Oh,
they have to see how serious you are. So where are they at now?
and it's funny you say that because, yes, that was at the beginning that they giggled about it, and 6 years later, my husband and my family can look at me and say, "Wow, that literally changed her life."
Right,
And maybe she wasn't, making up a story, or
right,
maybe she wasn't hallucinating. So they definitely understand now that something profound happened.
yeah,
Because, I'm the type of person that I pursue things a little bit and kinda give it up after that. Nothing in my life has really made me obsessive about it
right,
until this. And for 6 years now, I'm telling you it's obsessive.
yeah, yeah. And that's the way it usually works. Either some people, you have two types after they have an encounter. Either some people like want nothing to do with this subject. They shy away from it. They lose all interest in camping, hunting, anything outdoors. Or people like you, man, you go right into the subject and you just put everything into it, and you become like you said, obsessed with it. And I know a lot of people like that. So I think it's a good thing. You know, it's a good thing not just for you, but also you'll be able to help out other people. You know, if you haven't already been able to help people out, I think
Absolutely.
you know. I mean, just telling your story and putting yourself out there, other people who might not be so forthcoming, if they see you come out, they hear your story, you might give them courage to talk about it too, because not even the ridicule from family, but just from strangers in general, you know, and uh, you know, because there's already is kind of a stigma, uh,
Yeah.
associated with this. People think it's like some backwoods people that only have these encounters when it's not. It's everyday people.
Yep.
Uh, I know, Lupe, you haven't missed a story yet. We'll tell it here in a little bit. We're
Yeah.
just getting some backstory. But yeah. So if you don't mind,
Yeah,
can you,
absolutely.
yeah, you're going through your story a
So
little bit.
everything you just said right there was absolutely 100% right. And I feel like sharing my story will help a lot of others. And my story isn't your typical um I don't know, your typical Sasquatch story. So I feel like it will help people um see that other people do have weird experiences, you know?
Right.
It's not just a hairy gorilla in the woods. It's just so much more than that. And I feel like a lot of people that do have these really weird encounters don't want to share
Yeah.
because they do get ridiculed and yeah. So I will tell my encounter because
Well,
I
my friend Lupe right here says, "Hang in there, young lady."
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, and I've met some of the coolest people doing what I'm doing and
Yeah.
talking to people and learning from people. I have met the coolest people.
Right.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Um, so about 6 years ago, let's see. So I really got into meditation and I was going through some really hard times in my life and decided I would give meditation a try.
Right.
So I started meditating every day of my life, sometimes even multiple times a day to try to help combat the stress I was going through. Um, Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I feel like it does.
Right.
So I'm just going to tell it anyways. Okay, so after I had been meditating for, let's say, 6 months, I woke up in the middle of the night one night and I sat up out of bed, like I do every night. And I put my feet off the bed to get up. And at the end of my bed, I see a ball of light. And it's sitting in front of this mirror. And I rub my eyes and I blink my eyes over and over, thinking that something was wrong with my eyes. And I can see in this ball of light that these two colors are swirling together inside of it. Like when you see somebody take a puff off a cigarette and blow it into the air and it kind of tumbles.
Right.
That's what it looked like inside of this ball of light. And it was probably about this big, I don't know, um, 5 inches diameter. And I noticed that I could see its reflection in the mirror. So it really was sitting there and it had a reflection in the mirror.
Okay.
Well, as soon as I had that realization, I feel like it noticed me. I don't know. And it shot straight for me. It was only like 8 feet away. And it shot really fast toward me. And it really scared me. So I tried to hit it and my fingers went right through it. And that scared me. So I threw myself backwards onto my bed and I covered my head as fast as I could. And by the time I had the nerve to pull the blankets down, it was, of course, gone.
Yeah.
So the next morning, I didn't tell anybody. I just couldn't really understand what that was. And I had heard of orbs before,
Yeah.
but I just, you kind of feel like maybe it's not real, even though people say it is. And then when it happens to you, you're like, okay,
Mhm.
it's not supposed to be real.
Right.
So I ended up telling my mom about it. And thankfully, my mom's a really open minded person. And then I just kept it to myself after that. Come to find out, though, my mom had orb experiences before. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so we did have a lot to talk about with that. And it was nice to have somebody else that had a similar experience. Okay, so about a month later, we go on a camping trip to a place that we have camped at many times. And this camping trip, we were in an area that was like an open field, and 10 feet behind our camper, there was a creek. The creek was very shallow. And then right on the other side of the creek, there's a sheer mountain. And we're just having a normal camping trip for the first couple days. And then weird stuff started to happen. So when you're not expecting weird things to happen, you're not really looking for them.
Right.
And then when you're able to look back on hindsight, you're like, okay, well, that is freaking weird.
Hmm.
So across the creek from us, there happened to be a goat or a sheep.
Okay.
A sheep was on the other side of the creek. It came out of nowhere. We have never seen a sheep up there before, and it's literally 60 miles up into the mountains. So you wouldn't expect to see a sheep.
Right.
So I have 3 huge German shepherds, and my German shepherds kept trying to run over there and attack it, and it wouldn't leave. It would just sit there. And I don't know if this has anything to do with anything, but I'm
Okay.
just throwing it out there because it was odd.
Right.
So the next day after we notice the sheep, my husband goes on a boat ride because there's a lake close to us. Nobody else wanted to go, so we all stayed at the camp. He left. Me and my mom are sitting in the camper. My kids are right outside playing in that creek. And all of a sudden, I can hear the truck coming down the road, and I hear my husband start screaming bloody murder that there's a bear, that there's a bear, and to get the kids in the camper. So as a mother, you know, your heart drops out of your butt and you haul butt and try to get all your kids and get them into safety, right?
Right.
So I was so focused on the children that I wasn't looking around for a bear. I wasn't looking around for anything except my kids. Um, so after I get the kids in the camper, I'm asking my husband where the bear is. And he was telling me that it was on that side of the creek where the sheep was supposed to be. Okay, well, the sheep isn't there anymore, and we don't see a bear. You know, the thing is that my husband wears glasses, and when he's not wearing his glasses, he can barely see. I mean,
Yeah.
he can see, but really terribly.
Right.
So that was just another weird thing, you know. And at the time, I didn't think anything about any of this. It's only hindsight that I think it's weird.
Right.
Okay, so the next day, the next day, me and my mom decide to go on a four-wheeler ride because it's just about our last day there, and we haven't done anything. So my mom's like, let's go on a four-wheeler ride. So we did, and we went way back in the mountains, deeper than we already were. And she screams at me, and we both stop our four-wheeler, and she's pointing up to the sky, and there's this really big pine tree, and I have this on video, by the way. And there's an orb sitting on top of this pine tree, just hovering there. And it's about the same size as the one I saw in my bedroom, except this orb is pure white. So I record this orb for a long time, and I think it's absolutely amazing. But I don't know, when you don't know anything about this kind of stuff, you kind of just blow over it.
Right.
So I'm just happy I got a video so I could show people.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. We decided to leave because we had watched it and recorded it for like a half an hour. So finally, we're like, okay, we have to go back. So we head back to camp. I show everybody when we get back to camp the video of this weird orb, and they all just thought weird, and that was it. It didn't go any further than that. So the next day, or wait, no, that night after the orb recording, we're supposed to leave the next day. So this is our last night there. My mom says, let's go on another four-wheeler ride since we're leaving in the morning. So yet again, we go on another four-wheeler ride. And this four-wheeler ride was very different. And I hate going into this part because it's kind of the weird part. And I know that a lot of people, I don't know, they don't like this kind of stuff. They call it
Right.
rude. And I'm sorry. I wish this wasn't the story, so I didn't have to tell it.
Right.
Okay, so on this four-wheeler ride, I am driving just like normal. I'm following my mom, and all of a sudden I get this image in my head. And this image is super vivid. Um, by the way, let me just tell you that I have never really thought about Sasquatch. It's never been my thing.
Right.
Okay, I knew that there was weird stuff in the world, but Sasquatch wasn't really it for me. So on this four-wheeler ride, I start getting this vision or image in my head, whatever you want to call it. And in this image in my head, it's me staring face to face with a male Sasquatch. He's huge. He's very huge. And he's kind of extravagant. I'll say. He's like an extravagant beast, part human, part beast. And in this vision, I'm staring deep into his eyes, and his eyes are amber. They're amber brown. And he's like projecting these feelings onto me of love and compassion and also sadness at what humans have done to them and what humans continue to do to them. And it wasn't necessarily through words, but it was like the deepest feelings that you could ever imagine. It goes beyond words. And this lasted a long time, this vision. So when we get back finally, I tell my mom that I can't even remember the ride because this vision was so vivid and overtook my mind that I couldn't even remember where we rode the four-wheelers or where we went, where we turned, and I'm very familiar with the area up there. So I explained it all to my mom, and she just thinks it's really weird, and she doesn't really know what to tell me about it, except for how weird. And I'm not understanding it because never in my life have I had a vision, ever.
Right.
Literally, never in my life have I daydreamed or had a vision or whatever. My brain is a mom brain. It's always dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I have a hard time imagining anything. So I didn't really understand what was going on there. I just thought, how weird. Why is that happening to me? So I kind of just put it to the side, go on with the evening, um, not understanding what is going on with this orb and now this vision, and it was a lot at that time. So we get back to the camp. There's nobody else I can talk to about it. There's no way in hell I'm going to mention it to my other members of my family.
Mhm.
Um, we get ready for, you know, nighttime, a fire, dinner. Everybody's sitting around the fire, and it starts to get late, and it starts to get dark, and I have this overwhelming feeling that there's something on the mountain on the other side of the creek. I can't pinpoint it. I can't put my finger on it, but this overwhelming feeling is that something is over there. So this feeling was so dominant that other members of my family were noticing how scared I was, and they're like, "Are you okay?" My brother-in-law actually went and got me a gun, a little pistol, because it's like, you know, there's nothing out here, but I can see that you're scared. So I didn't really want the gun, but I took it in. Um, Me and my mom, when we're out camping, we stay up late, and I right here I have a really awesome pair of night vision goggles, and we stay up and we watch the sky. It's
Mhm.
something we've always done, and we love to do it. So everybody else in the camp decides to go to bed. Me and my mom stay up to watch the stars, even though I am scared. And I I had my 3 German Shepherds out with me. They're all huge, scary, supposed to be protectors, my
Mhm.
ass. So we're all sitting out there, and my German Shepherds really wanna go inside the camper. I don't understand why at the time, but they kept wanting to get into the door, and me, I wanted them to stay out with me. But since my family was asleep and my dogs kept scratching at the door, I finally had to give in and let them in the camp. I personally think now, looking back, that there was a reason they wanted to go in the camper.
Right.
Um, so the nights come, it's super dark, the stars are beautifully bright. I still have this overwhelming fear that there is something there. That sometimes, somehow, you just know something. And this night I knew, but I kept pushing it away. Like, no, you're just a, you know, you're scared of the dark. There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
Well, little did I know. Um, I kept hearing these rocks fall down this mountain. And it wasn't like huge rocks, it was little rocks. And I would shine this light over there and I would see nothing. So I'd be like, okay, there's nothing over there. I would hear rocks again. I would shine my light over there. I couldn't see anything. So that happened quite a few times. And I don't understand why I could never see anything when I would shine my light over there. Um, my mom was getting upset with me because I kept shining that light. And when you're in the dark, you know, your eyes are very sensitive to light.
Right.
And she kept saying, Caitlin, there's nothing out here. You keep shining that stupid light, and then it takes me however long to try to get my vision back to normal. So I felt terrible, and I'm like, okay, so I really tried hard not to shine that light. which if you knew me, I'm the biggest wussy in dark, so it was very hard for me. All of a sudden, I hear rocks underneath the water. So when rocks move underwater, they have like a weird muffled sound, and
Right.
that's what I kept hearing. So I was trying not to shine my light, so I tucked it in and said there was nothing there. And my mom walked away from like 10 feet, 10 to 15 feet, not sure exactly, but about that. And all of a sudden, I hear this thump, 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 4 thumps, okay? And every thump that I heard shook the ground. It literally shook the ground, whatever these thumps were. Okay, so I live in Idaho. We hunt, we fish, we hunt deer, elk, moose, bear, cougar. We hunt it all. Bighorn sheep. When you hear a four-legged animal, you know what a four-legged animal sounds like.
Right.
When you hear a bipedal animal, you know what a bipedal animal sounds like.
Right.
So this thing, I'm horribly explaining it, and I'm sorry, you guys,
No,
but
you're good. You're good.
this thing runs right behind me. Okay, there's a field right behind me, and he's literally not even a foot away from me when he takes those 4 steps. Thump, thump, thump. And he stops right over here. And in my head, I was thinking, why is my mom running? Because I couldn't comprehend what was going on.
Right.
So I look back and my mom's still in the same exact spot. So this thing ran right in between us. Each stride that it took was huge. I'm going to say 10 feet in between each stride.
Right.
When I look back, I can see my mom still in the same spot, but she had looked behind her, noticing that something just ran in between us. And I said, "Mom, did you run?" She's like, "No." So I don't know what was going on at this point in time, but my brain couldn't keep up with what was actually happening. And when she told me that she wasn't running, she started walking to me frantically because she knew something was wrong. And then I had a fast realization that something had just ran behind me, shook the ground. It was bipedal and it stopped right there. It didn't go on. It only took 4 huge steps and it stopped. It did not take another step. So remember, I had this huge light, right?
Right.
I pick up my light and I shine it to where this thing stopped. And where it stopped, there was uh, a pull behind trailer that you put your four-wheelers and dirt bikes on. And those are only about, I would say, 2 feet tall, a flatbed trailer.
Okay.
Okay, so when I shine this light, I instantly see a Sasquatch, a huge, gigantic Sasquatch. And when my light hits him, he falls to the ground. I mean, so fast, and like becomes level with that pull behind camper. So he's he's laying down now, hiding behind the camper. So when I saw him, I only got a flash of him, and he was, I'm gonna say, anywhere between 7 to 9 feet tall. He had all different colors of brown hair. Um, Anywhere from on his face, it was very short, and then got a little bit longer on the head and even longer on the body. So on the body, his hair was the longest, and he was like tree trunks. I don't know. He was so huge.
Yeah.
Everything about him was girthy. Right here, his shoulders were gargantuan. His arms were super stocky. His legs literally looked like tree chunks, and his head wasn't that big for his huge body. And he had a perfectly round head. He didn't have a typical
Okay.
head. That was really as far as I could see. I didn't get to see super great detail on the face, but I truly believe that it was the same Sasquatch I had seen in the vision. That's all I'm
Okay.
gonna say about that.
Okay.
Um, so when I shone that light over there, my mom had just gotten to me from walking back from where she was. She saw when I shined that light over there.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I could have literally melted onto the ground. I almost couldn't move. I was stunned. I was beyond shocked. I don't know. I felt like I was in a different reality.
Right.
So my mom literally had to help pick me up and say, "Let's get in the camper now." So she's holding me up. We're only like 8 feet away from the camper door, and we make it to the camper. We both like flop down on the couches. We literally do not say a word about it. We just sit there quiet and I don't know. Um, thankfully, I had her because she could actually get up. She closed the blinds. She locked the door. I knew that he was still out there. I knew
Yeah.
he wasn't gonna leave. I knew why he was there. I feel like he wanted to see me or something. I don't know, but I didn't want. I didn't want to. I
Yeah.
was scared. I was terrified. I don't know. It was too much at that point in time.
Yeah.
The next day, so we had actually stayed up in the camper and we were so shocked. I guess we had nothing to say. What do you say?
Yeah.
I I didn't want to wake up my family and tell them there's a Sasquatch out there. You know, it's just something I couldn't do.
Mhm.
The next day, the next day, I couldn't even come out of the camper. So we were supposed to pack up and leave, and I couldn't come out of the camper. I was too scared. I should have went out and looked for footprints, but that's not something that I knew to do. You know, now I would because I've learned a lot, but at that point in time, I didn't know I should go out there and look for footprints. It was just all too much.
Yeah.
It really was. And it was so profound for me that it overtook my life. And not even in a bad way.
Right.
Just I don't know, I needed others to understand, I guess.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah. You're not alone in feeling like that. Tons of people feel that same way. Tons of people react that same way too.
yeah,
Um, and then to say, I know people will say, well, you should have took a picture, you should have went and looked, you should have went and got evidence or whatever. You don't think about that. It's like you were saying, you were beyond shock,
yeah,
and like I like to think of it as you're almost short circuit. Your brain just short
really.
circuits.
I
Uh,
really felt that way.
yeah,
Even when it ran behind my back,
yeah,
my brain couldn't keep up with it fast enough
yeah.
or even begin to comprehend what was truly going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you said, you feel like you're in a different reality. And
Yeah,
of course, I've never been in that situation, but people talk about that. They feel like they're in a whole different world, a whole everything freezes. Um, your whole reality comes crumbling down.
It really does. It really does. And then what are you supposed to tell people?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, what are you supposed to tell your family?
yeah.
And my family comes from a Christian background,
Right.
so I'm sorry to say, but it's kind of like everything's demons.
Okay.
So instantly, I know I would have been ridiculed. Later on, I told my husband, and like I said, he snickered, and I'm pretty sure he did mention demons. And in my head, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah,
I I didn't feel like that.
yeah, yeah. And so, I think he did want you to see him. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yes.
I think he wanted you to see him. I
Yep.
think, I think definitely he didn't mean you any harm. Uh,
No, because listen, okay, so a couple years after I had initially had the encounter, when I would envision him running behind my back, it would literally make me sick. It would almost make me want to puke to think of him that close to me. It did something to me. It literally made me sick. That's all
yeah,
I can say. And but now that I look back, I think he literally could have grabbed me if he wanted to
yeah,
and been gone, and there's nothing anyone would have been able to do about any of it.
right,
But he didn't even touch me, you
right.
know?
Yeah, yeah. I think, it, in your instant, for whatever reason, he wanted you to see him, and I do think it has something to do with the meditation. I really do. I think when you open yourself up like that, you open yourself up to everything, uh, good and evil. But I don't think this was evil at all.
Right. No, but I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and these creatures are probably a little bit more in tune to us than any other animals. Um,
So, okay, so when I got better at meditating, it seems like that's when things really started to happen. The orbs, um, all of it scared me, of course,
right.
because it's just not normal and you're not used to it. So it's scary.
Hmm.
And when you grow up in a world that programs you to be scared of anything that's not normal, I mean, watch TV and they program you to be scared of everything. And so when you actually do encounter something that's abnormal, you're freaking scared.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like the vision he gave me, even though at the time I didn't know, the vision that he gave me was so pure and amazing.
Right.
And like I said, there's no words for it, but I'm telling you, he sent me all these loving, amazing feelings, and I sent him back those same feelings, and even feelings of me being in awe because he was such a magnificent specimen. And when he started sending me the feelings of sadness for what humans have done, there was no specifics of like, oh, humans killing this, humans. There was no specifics. I just knew it was sadness from what we've done. And I don't know what that is.
Right.
But it was so profound. And now that I look back, it's just, oh God, it really was amazing.
That's good. Well, I'm glad you've got that clarity. You know,
Yeah.
and does any of it still scare you at all, or has that changed?
I'm going to say probably.
Okay. Yeah. I
only,
mean, you're
only
looking at
because it's
something.
the unknown,
Right.
and I always think because I've went back out there to try to see him.
Hmm.
And I always think, oh, but what if he takes me? And people will constantly tell me, be careful, you're a woman, he's going to take you. They take Indian women. So
Right.
yeah, there is a fear, but I try to overcome it.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like that if he wanted me for any of those reasons, he would have taken me right then and there.
Right. Yeah. I think that if he wanted you, he would have taken you first of all. But I
Yeah,
also think that in a lot of ways, they're just like any other animal. There's some that are good, some that are bad.
absolutely.
Um, and I've got a feeling that if this guy lives out there,
Hmm.
um, if he has a clan, they're probably good. Um, and I, I just don't think that this particular creature would harm you. It would probably be scary again to see him face to face,
Yeah,
because like you said,
exactly.
there's there's they can be intimidating, you
Yep.
know. I mean, you see that with people. You see some, like bikers. They look very big and scary, but when you get to know them, they're big teddy bears. Most of these guys. So I
Absolutely.
think it's probably just somewhere along the line that same line. But
I
of course,
think
these
you're
things
right.
are these things are probably just a lot more enormous and
I think you're right. And I think he sent me the vision to kind of help set up the stage,
yeah,
so
yeah,
to speak.
yeah. So
And
kind of
then
prepare you. Yeah,
yeah, and then when he ran into camp, he made sure to go, 40 feet away so he wasn't right there,
right.
you know. And so remember I had said that we went camping there a lot every
Hmm.
year.
Right.
Okay, so hindsight now, looking back, every camping trip that I had went there, something weird had happened. But at the time, I wasn't thinking Sasquatch or, I wasn't thinking anything about paranormal. So I wasn't necessarily looking for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But now that I look back, I think he had come to my camp every year
yeah,
and tried to show me something, but I was too dumb to see it.
yeah, yeah.
One year I had found footprints. I
Hmm.
had found crazy footprints out in the middle of nowhere, deep, like this deep into mud, bare feet in the mountains. And in my head, okay, I thought, what the hell is this human doing up here with no damn shoes on?
Yeah, right.
Right? So
Yeah,
so I think that he had left those for me to find, but I was just too dumb to see it.
yeah. And like so Lupa has said that you had a clear mind and it read that and it trusted you. Maybe that's what it was waiting for you to do, to clear your mind and to get
Yeah,
to be in a better place.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. One year I had just had my newborn baby, my son. He's not a newborn now, but at the time he was a newborn, and everybody had left me at the camp to go fishing, and I had to stay there because I had a newborn baby.
yeah,
So I was there by myself, and all of a sudden I hear literally a baby crying outside. Okay,
yeah,
our camp is surrounded by thick bushes all the way around. So I get out of the camper, I leave my baby in there for a second. I get out and I can hear the crying coming from this thick of bushes. Every time I walked over to that thicket, the crying would stop. I would back up a little bit and it would start crying. And I don't mean like crying like a mountain lion or a bobcat. I mean like crying like a brand new born baby.
hmm,
I walk up to it a couple times and every time I do it stops. Well, I got a really creepy feeling because it just wasn't normal. So
yeah.
I went back to my camper and I was like, "Oh my god, I wonder what that is." And then I just left it at that.
Okay.
It's amazing. This is what I find amazing. It is amazing what humans make up excuses for.
Right, right.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah,
It's like it's bluntly right in your damn face and you can't even see it.
yeah.
Yeah, they've heard mimicking babies. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So did it make any noise? Did it smell? Was there any smells?
No smell.
No smell. Yeah.
No smell. And it did make noise. It made noise all the way down that damn mountain. I swear to you that every time I shine my light up there, I was looking for something and
Right,
I could never see anything. It was so stealthy. Okay. So my camper was right here, right?
right.
Right behind it is the creek and then the mountain. It literally, I feel like it used the camper to block itself all the way down. And
Yeah.
then who knows how long it stayed behind the camper before it actually decided to run out, you
Right,
know? Oh, it was just so much to think about.
right.
And it that changed my life forever.
Yeah,
Forever.
yeah. And you'll probably replay this the rest of your life, and
Oh, I do all the time. I can't not think about it. And that's why I think it's so important for people to be able to share their stories because it affects you deeply, you know?
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I'm definitely glad you came on here and you shared your story, and I hope
Yeah,
that just by you telling your story, other people will come forward and
I
know
hope.
that they're not crazy,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
yeah, know
And
that.
yeah, I feel bad for anybody that has to keep it a secret. I
Right,
really do because it messes with you. And if you don't have a safe place to be able to talk about it and get it off your chest, that's a lot to hold in, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So I can imagine at first you had to be questioning yourself. Did I see this? Did this really happen?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you still do that, or are you better with it?
No, I don't question myself anymore.
Okay.
It's like at first I didn't really want to believe it and I would make excuses for it. I would listen to other people when they, "Oh, you probably blah blah blah." I
Yeah.
would really listen to them and I'd be like, "Yeah, maybe I did. Maybe
Yeah,
I did."
maybe it was a bear, right? A
Yeah.
bear, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And um I don't know how your brain does that, but it does.
Right.
And then I got to a point where I'm like, "You know what? I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I've never been crazy. No one in my fucking life has said you're crazy.
Right.
They say, "Wow, you're a really rational person." Am
Right.
I?
Yeah.
Saying this, am I?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot,
Yeah.
and it's hard. And especially when you have such a crazy story and you can't lie. So you really have to tell the story, even though I rather would lie and say, no, this didn't happen. That would
Yeah.
make life a lot easier.
Right. Yeah. Um.
And I wish I was one of the encounters where it was just, oh yeah, I saw him go across the ridge, and I wish it was that. I really
Do you
do.
really though?
Maybe.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you had such a great encounter. It really was.
It's just hard to share it, is all.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
hard to
hard
share,
part.
and like I said, I'm sure at first it was hard to process.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, and really, it was a relatively uh, unaggressive encounter. It was
It
nothing.
wasn't aggressive at all,
You
at all.
know, and like I said, I could, I could never put myself in that situation or say I've been in that situation. But
Yeah,
if you're gonna have a close encounter with one of these things, you got the best encounter that there is. And like
absolutely,
I said, I I
absolutely.
I truly and honestly believe it wanted to show itself to you.
I
You
feel
know,
like that too.
you know,
And I've even tried to prepare my mind for another encounter.
yeah,
because somewhere in me, even though it scared me, I do want to see him again. You
Yeah.
know, I really do.
Yeah.
And he wasn't ugly and hideous looking. He was beautiful. He
Yeah.
was literally magnificent.
Yeah. That's yeah.
And his eyes were so deep and beautiful, and the look on his face was so serious, even though he was trying to project good thoughts and feelings and emotion. His face was just, um, I don't know, no emotion at all,
Right. Hmm.
just completely straight faced. But he was beautiful. I know people don't like it when I say that, um, but he was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Like I said, I think you had a great encounter, and I think really you had a rare encounter.
Yeah,
When you because there are people who have close encounters like that, and they're not so friendly. Um,
absolutely.
I think your encounter was a beautiful encounter, really. You know.
Yeah, I thank God it wasn't scary. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Right. Yeah.
I really wouldn't.
Um, do you still meditate?
I do.
Yeah. Do you have
Yep.
any more visions or emotions like that?
Okay, so I'll be honest. So after I had this experience with him, I actually quit meditating for quite some time.
Hmm.
I quit completely because I truly did feel like the meditation opened me up to more in this world.
Okay.
So it scared me and I pulled back from it. But I did start up again. And since I started up, I haven't had anything crazy happen, but I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. That's good. So when you meditate now, are you like fully into it as much as you were, or are you pulling back anymore?
I'm
Or
fully into it.
okay, good.
Feel like I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready. I don't know what the orbs are about. I don't know if the orbs are part of it, but I feel like I'm ready.
Okay.
I don't know what this is all for. I don't
Yeah.
know what it's all about. I have so many freaking questions that
Right.
drive me nuts, and I hope I find answers someday. It's just really been life changing
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Maybe you found an answer, and you just haven't really,
Yeah,
processed it yet.
yeah,
Um,
maybe. And
you
you
know,
might be right. You very
maybe,
likely could be right.
yeah, maybe your answer was in the vision that he sent you,
Yeah,
and maybe that's
yeah,
your purpose now,
yeah, yeah.
So
I feel like there could be a lot more with that situation.
yeah,
If I could lose my fear, who knows what it really could be, you
yeah,
know?
right, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Hopefully I find out someday.
yeah. Yeah, well, I'm definitely glad you embraced this subject, and
Me too.
yeah, and really embraced your encounter. I think that's very important.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I agree.
yeah, yeah. I started meditating like 2 years ago, and just over the last, I don't know, 9 months, I really started having some strange experiences and
Good for
seeing
you.
visions. Yeah, seeing
Good
visions, and
for
had weird stuff happen here at the house
you.
too. And
I'm telling you, I think it takes a little bit for you to get comfortable with the whole concept of meditating because it's so foreign to us.
right, and it's hard to get used to it because as you're
It's
meditating, when I first started, I couldn't concentrate. I was thinking about bills and work,
yes,
and other things.
yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
couldn't.
you're
Yeah,
so right.
yeah,
And then you get to this point where you actually like it.
yeah,
It's there's something kind of addicting about it, like the relaxation, the
right,
opening your mind, the other possibilities than just this reality.
right, yeah,
And it truly does open up something in you
yeah,
to make you more I don't know, comfortable with other things, I guess.
Yeah. And
I
you know what?
hope you have
Yeah.
an awesome experience.
You know, I kind of relate it to like going to the gym. Like if I don't go to the gym, I miss it and I hate myself for it. And if I
Yep.
don't meditate, I'm like, ah, you know, the same.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Or if I
Yeah.
get interrupted, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was so deep.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're a mom, so you
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
exactly. I
Yeah.
need it.
Okay. So we're coming up on our hour here, man. I'd love to have you back on, and when you do
Yeah.
your show, I'd love to do your show. But
Yeah.
do you have anything you want to tell the people as far as like
Hmm.
maybe having some strength to come out? And I don't want to say that they're weak, but maybe
No,
give them some
that's not what it
encouragement.
is
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's I got to this point where I just don't give a shit what people think about me anymore.
Yeah.
I truly don't. If somebody doesn't like me for the true me, I don't even want to play with them in my life, you know?
Right.
And I think everybody should feel that way because then when you truly have people come into your life, they love you for you, you know? So just be yourself and don't care what other people think about you because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And I truly believe that our society trains people to be full of fear,
Right.
and I think this world would be such a beautiful place if we could all lose our fear,
Right.
capable of absolutely anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think you're right in so many ways. There's so much fear in the world, and
Yep.
yeah, if we lose that fear and stop, fear it's so toxic.
It
Fear
truly
creates
is.
anger, it
Yep.
creates hate, it creates division. And I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we've seen the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
It
so
causes people to invert to themselves. It does so much damage. And if we could just I mean, if you really, really want to get deep about it, fear causes so much. It causes people to make horrible rational decisions or I mean irrational decisions. And if mankind could lose its fear, it would be a great place.
yes, I agree with you 100% there. Well, cool, Kaylee, man. It was really cool talking to you. Like I said, I gotta have you on again, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know you're getting ready to get your show together. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I am starting a show. It's a podcast and a YouTube show. And it's just going to be for people to feel comfortable and come out and share their encounters and stories and have a comfortable place to do it. It's called Sasquatch Synchronicity. And
Hmm,
I know that's a long word, but um, I thought it was a really meaningful title because there's so many synchronicities to life
right.
that give
Yeah.
us answers that we kind of just ignore.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you get up and rolling, man, let me know. I know quite a few people who love to do your show and who've had,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, who've had encounters. I think you'd like my friend Walter a lot. He's had his encounter was probably a little bit more aggressive, but it was
Yeah.
still a great encounter. And he's one of
Oh,
those guys who just dove right into the subject too. He didn't shy away from it. But
it
yeah,
does that to you somehow. It
yeah,
really, I mean, I swear to God, I've never been so passionate about something in my life ever,
yeah.
ever.
That's
So
cool.
I understand that.
Well, cool. Hold on real quick, and I want to show you something before we get off air.
Okay.
Before I hang up. But everybody else, man, thanks a lot for
Bye, guys.
all the comments and questions, man. I really appreciate it. And thanks a lot for all these guys were here supporting you. So,
Thank
uh,
you, guys.
yeah. All right, guys. Y'all have a great night.